Hello and welcome once again to the Sophie Scholl Society. I'm Mel McGinnis, and this will be the last edition for the Sophie Scholl Society this year, 2019. But I want to give you a heads up. The Sophie Scholl Society will undergo significant change in the coming new year. Oh, we're still going to talk about religion and politics, but I think the time has come to put this in a setting where different points of view are heard. Meaning, our society today is so divided that this division is creating walls between the points of view. And I want to knock down those walls so that those who have a different point of view are allowed to discuss it. We need to take the lead when it comes to civility in politics today. And how better to do that than to bring in local people and talk about these subjects so that we can be an example in our society on how we discuss the issues of religion and politics and how they mix even when those points of view are on opposite poles. The more we talk in a civil way, the better off we will be. But for today's edition of the Sophie Scholl Society, I want to talk to you about what you've been hearing in the news. Did you hear about all those Muslim villages in Africa that are being destroyed? How Muslim children are being maimed? How the elderly are being removed from their places where they've lived a long time? And a whole segment of people, Muslims, being displaced because the tension is so bad and the threats are so great, they've had to leave. There's only one problem with that. They're not Muslims. They're Christians. Consider these headlines. Nigeria. Muslims murder over 20 Christians with machetes and gunfire. Nigeria again. Muslims murder 85 people, torch 100 homes and villagers. Nigeria, once again. Muslims massacre 17 Christians after baby dedication. This is just from this past year. If you've been following those news sources that give you these details, it's from the Islamic Fulani tribes and the Boko Haram that are inflicting this kind of mayhem upon the Christians in Nigeria. And it's not just there. Go to the country Burkina Faso, and here's a headline you'll see or hear. Muslims murder 14 Christians in attack on a church. Go to Cameroon, and there you read, Muslims murder Bible translator to death. Not only there, go to Kenya, and you'll read this headline. 9 Christians murdered for refusing to recite Islamic creed. An international broadcast company, the BBC, has come out and said Christian persecution at near genocide levels. Go to the website, Religion of Peace, and there that website keeps tabs of all the terror attacks since 9/11. Right now, it's up over 37,000 acts of terror done in the name of Islam throughout the world. Now, am I saying all Muslims commit these acts of terror? No. But what I am saying is that when you look at Islamic history, Islamic tradition, such as the Hadith, when you look at their core book, the Quran, you will see that from these sources, providing the motivation, providing the intention to go out and commit these acts of terror. And these don't include the rapes, the child rapes, the abduction of children as child brides for Islamic men. Again, Not all Muslims do this. But when you look at Islamic history, Islamic tradition, and in the Quran itself, you will see the motivation that's there from these sources to commit these dastardly deeds. And sadly, they are done against Christians. And you see it, especially today, on the continent of Africa, where the threat on Christians is practically present every day. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because I don't think it gets the attention in our media that was given when those Islamic mosques in New Zealand earlier this year resulted in the horrific deaths of 51 people. We see a slanted perspective in our media about what is done to Christians versus what was done to Muslims there in New Zealand. And can I mention just one more thing with respect to this New Zealand issue and what we just saw in Texas of a church shooting? In New Zealand, those people were defenseless. They had such strict controls on the self-defense of people. That is, they had strict gun control in that country. How could those people in those mosques really defend themselves, except for throwing an object at them? However, when we heard about what took place in Texas recently, we heard there, that there was a security team that was trained by the church, overseen by the church, so that when that gunman opened fire, there were trained personnel right there to take care of it swiftly and decisively. And the shooter was gunned down himself and not allowed anymore to carry out his mayhem. Just something for us as people in our churches today to consider when we observe violence going on throughout the world against Christians, and even it being shown forth in our own country today. So with those thoughts, let us be a people of wisdom, a people of discernment, a people that know how to deal with such things as the reality of gunmen in churches. Are we prepared? We ought to be prepared. And we should feel free to defend ourselves. And defend ourselves with guns even, if necessary, in such a situation as we witnessed in Texas. Well, I know it's an unusual way to end up the work here in the Sophie Scholl Society in 2019, but still want to say, Happy New Year! And unlike Tony Kornheiser, I can't promise you that I'll do better the next time. Bye for now.